Chapter 13. Let every soul be subject unto the higher powers, for there is no power but of God. The powers that be are ordained of God. Whosoever therefore resisteth the power, resisteth the ordinance of God, and they that resist shall receive to themselves damnation. For rulers are not a terror to good works, but to the evil. Wilt thou then not be afraid of the power? Do that which is good, and thou shalt have praise of the same. For he is the minister of God to thee for good. But if thou do that which is evil, be afraid. For he beareth not the sword in vain. For he is the minister of God, a revenger to execute wrath upon him that doeth evil. Wherefore ye must needs be subject, not only for wrath, but also for conscience sake. For this cause pay ye tribute also, for they are God's ministers, attending continually upon this very thing. Render therefore to all their dues, tribute to whom tribute is due, custom to whom custom, fear to whom fear, honor to whom honor. Owe no man anything but to love one another, for he that loveth another hath fulfilled the law. For this, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness, thou shalt not covet. And if there be any other commandment, it is briefly comprehended in this saying, namely, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Love worketh no ill to his neighbor, therefore love is the fulfilling of the law. And that knowing the time, that now it is high time to awake out of sleep, for now is our salvation nearer than when we believed. The night is far spent, the day is at hand. Let us therefore cast off the works of darkness, and let us put on the armor of light. Let us walk honestly as in the day, not in rioting and drunkenness, not in chambering and wantonness, not in strife and envying. But put ye on the Lord Jesus Christ, and make not provision for the flesh to fulfill the lusts thereof. One thing I really do need to emphasize here, again, is that every single one of these letters is written to a specific group of people at a specific time because they are facing a specific situation, and they are based on certain assumptions that Paul has made. And if the assumptions don't apply to you, the counsel may not apply to you exactly. And so, while most of these are really good principles, they are not blindly applicable to everybody under all circumstances. And here Paul is writing to the Romans at a time when Rome is the ultimate power on the face of the earth, and if you resisted in any degree, they killed you. Just that simple. So he's telling the Roman citizens who are Christians how to survive in that environment. Don't fight back, you can't win, is basically what he's saying. Find a way to get along with these people. Verse 1, let every soul be subject unto the higher powers. Don't foment rebellion. Don't take part in any kind of rebellious activity. It will crush you. And verse 3, generally speaking, good rulers this applies to. He was aware of, he lived under Herod. He lived under all kinds of other people who were not great leaders. He knew there were bad ones. But basically this is the rule. For good rulers are not a terror to good works. But good rulers are the terror to evil works. They won't tolerate it. Especially guys who have absolute power. It says in verse 4, but if thou do that which is evil, be afraid, because those people who have absolute power have a sword for a very specific reason. They chop people in half if you resist. Verse 5, wherefore ye must needs be subject to the rule of rulers, not only in order so that you can live, so you don't have their wrath, their anger come down upon you, but also for conscience sake. Okay? You don't want to set an example that other people follow and you all get killed. Okay? Verse 7, render therefore to all their dues. So you have different people you owe different things to. Pay money to those you owe money to, taxes or whatever. Custom to those to whom you owe customs, things that in your cultural. Fear to whom fear. Respect to those people who are owed respect as part of your culture. Don't go Don't go being resistant to everything. You may be Christian, you may believe different than them, but that doesn't mean you have a right to be rebellious about everything. They won't listen to you. They will listen to honorable men. Verse 8, owe no man anything but to love one another, for he that loveth another hath fulfilled the law. Do your best to get along with everybody instead of sticking out like a sore thumb and hurting everybody you run into. This is the information he's giving to them. Verse 9, for this thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness, thou shalt not covet, and all the other commandments. And he says, and if there be any other commandment, it is briefly comprehended in this saying, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. For love, real, sincere, genuine love, worketh no ill to his neighbor. You don't injure people you care for. You don't injure your family. You don't injure yourself. Therefore, love, true love, as it is properly, fully, honorably, sincerely practiced, is the fulfilling of the law, the commandments. Now, the commandments are the basis of the law, not necessarily the ultimate fulfillment of the law. They're the basis that you should start out from. And then you practice that and you get better at it. Verse 12. The night is far spent, the day is at hand. In other words, brethren, we're coming to the point where things are going to start happening here. And we know there were Roman persecutions after this time. Let us therefore cast off the works of darkness. In other words, whatever sin you had, whatever thing you were doing beforehand, anything you were trying to do behind people's back or undercover, don't do that. Put on the armor of light. Be 100% open about all that you do. See to it that people cannot talk about you behind your back because there's nothing to talk about. Let us walk honestly as in the day, not in rioting and drunkenness, not in chambering, not in wantonness. Chambering would be doing things behind closed doors. Not in strife or envying, okay? But, verse 14, put ye on the Lord Jesus Christ. In other words, take upon you the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, which is what you're supposed to be doing when you take sacrament, and say you're going to live as he did, and make not provision for the flesh to fulfill the lust thereof. Now, I've had some people take and make not provisions for the flesh as though that's a separate component of that. But basically what he's saying is, take upon yourself the mantle, the appearance, the behavior, the standard of behavior of the Lord Jesus Christ, and don't even think about trying to somehow have some of the lusts, the corruption, the sins of the flesh. Don't even think about those things. Basically, do what the Lord Jesus Christ would do if he was in your situation, in your time, in your circumstances, standing where you are. What would Jesus do? And do that. And don't worry about anything else.